Sir, good evening.
Good evening, good evening. Ready?
Good evening, Dr. Gopi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Gopi sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Rajan.
Rajatya.
Good evening, sir.
Not seen.
Start video. Good. കിട്ടുന്നില്ല അവിടെ നെക്കിയില്ല അവിടെ ഇല്ല റെഡി
Good evening.
ഹലോ ഗുഡ് ഈവനിങ്
Good evening.
Yatish sir, good evening.
Good evening.
Very good.
Another candidate?
Sir, myself.
Candidate?
Gopi sir, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening to everybody.
Hello, good evening to all.
വലിയ ബുക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നില്ല വലിയ ബുക്ക്
Ajay, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are very
Yes,
well.
audible. Everybody is audible.
Audible ആണോ?
ആണ്. Gopi sir, തുടങ്ങിയാലോ?
Start ചെയ്യാം. ഒരു സെക്കൻഡ്.
Okay.
So good evening to everybody. So this is the third program of our Kerala Surgery PG Clinics. First of all, I am welcoming Dr. Rajdeep Singh from Maulana Medical College, New Delhi as external examiner, and Dr. Professor Abdul Latif, HOD of Surgery, Trivandrum Medical College, and Professor of Surgery, Calicut Medical College, Dr. Ajay Kumar, and welcome to Dr. Rajan Kurumula, who is the famous surgeon at MIMS Hospital, Calicut. So I am also welcoming our candidates, the students, Arjun Singh, MES Medical College, Perinthalmanna. So without waiting too much time, we can start the program. Arjun?
Yes, sir.
I just think we can start. Go to your case.
Sir, my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible, Arjun.
Visible and audible.
Good evening, dear teachers. Case presentation. Presenting a case of Mrs. X, a 28-year-old lady hailing from Malappuram, working as an office staff. Presenting complaint, swelling in front part of the neck, 5 years. History of the presenting complaint. Patient came with complaint of swelling in front part of the neck, more towards the right side 5 years back. Initially, it was about 2 centimeters in size, insidious in onset and gradually progressive. About for the past 1 month, she noticed a rapid increase in size to attain the present size. It is not associated with pain. No history of change in weight or appetite, heat or cold intolerance, or alteration in bowel habits. No history of excessive sweating, tremor, restlessness, irritability, lethargy or palpitation. No pressure symptoms like dyspnea, dysphagia. No history of voice change. No history of any other swellings. No history of bone pain, back pain or hemoptysis. No history of any medications taken for the same. She noted a rapid increase in size of the swelling and consulted our hospital. Coming to the past history, no similar illness in the past. No history of any radiation to the neck. No other surgeries in the past except LSCS. no medical comorbidities. Personal history, sleep and appetite normal, bladder and bowel habits are regular, taking non-vegetarian diet, no addictions, no allergies. Coming to the obstetric history, menarche attained at the age of 12 years, regular cycles, 28 to 30 day cycles with 4 days of bleeding. P1, L1, previous LSCS, last childbirth 2 years back. Coming to the family history, no history of thyroid diseases in the family, no history of any thyroid, GIA, breast malignancies in the family. Treatment history, she is not on any regular medication and didn't take any previous treatment for the thyroid swelling. No history of any drug allergies. Summarizing the history, 28-year-old lady with no comorbidities, no significant past personal or family history, presents with a painless progressive swelling in the anterior aspect of neck more towards the right side for the past 5 years, with a history of recent increase in size for past 1 month, with no symptoms suggestive of hypo or hyperthyroidism and no history suggestive of any pressure symptoms. Coming to the general physical examination.
You can wait.
Patient one.
Arjun, wait, please.
Yes, sir.
Arjun, please
Yes,
wait.
sir. Yes, sir.
Examiners, please note the history you mentioned. Anything you add? Abdul Latif, Dr. Abdul Latif, sir.
This, what is the name of this Arjunjit?
Arjunjit.
Arjunjit,
Yes, sir.
with your clinical history, what do you suspect?
Sir, say solitary, a thyroid swelling, probably a solitary nodule.
How could you say that this is solitary or multiple? Because you said there is a swelling in front of the neck. What do you suspect from the clinical history?
History, a thyroid swelling, sir.
The thyroid swelling.
Yes.
What do you suspect? Is it a benign swelling or malignant swelling from the clinical history?
Sir, she gives a history of rapid increase in size for past 1 month. So I suspect malignancy also.
So from the clinical history, you are suspecting malignancy, right?
Yes.
Suppose a malignant swelling produces dyspnea, dysphagia, hoarseness of voice. What is the mechanism of development of these symptoms?
Sir, hoarseness of voice due to infiltration of the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Then dysphagia and dyspnea due to pressure effect on the.
Here you are suspecting malignancy in the clinical history. Then why did you say specifically that there are no pressure symptoms like dyspnea, dysphagia?
Sir, to rule out any compression over the.
How does the dyspnea or dysphagia develop in malignancy?
Due to the compressive effect on the trachea.
Is it by
infiltration into the structures?
Then you are suspecting clinically, you are suspecting a malignant swelling.
Yes,
but
sir.
you specifically said that there are no symptoms of pressure effects because
Yes,
the
sir.
pressure effects are produced by the benign swelling and the malignancy produces the same symptom, but that is not by the pressure effects, that is by infiltration.
Yes, sir.
Do you accept it or not?
Yes, sir.
So do you have any other suspicion from the clinical history?
Sir, from clinical history, no other suspicion no other features suggestive of malignancy, sir, except this increase in size of the swelling for the past 1 month.
It is an endocrine gland. What about the function of the, with respect to the function of the thyroid gland?
Sir, clinically, the patient does not give any symptoms suggestive of hypo or hyperthyroidism, sir.
Then what is it called?
Euthyroid state, sir.
So this is a euthyroid swelling. And you are suspecting malignancy because of the rapid increase in the size since 1 month.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And is there any clinically, is there any retrosternal extension or not?
No, sir. Clinically, no symptoms suggestive of any retrosternal extension.
Anything in the clinical history?
Sir?
Anything in the clinical history did you specify to rule out the possibility of retrosternal extension?
Sir, patient does any pressure, if retrosternal extension, there will be some pressure symptoms like dyspnea, nothing, no history of any dyspnea.
What is the symptoms usually? How does that clinically, what clinical history do you get? If the thyroid swelling has got retrosternal extension, what is the typical history do you expect?
Patient will have dyspnea, sir, and
Is it aggravated by sitting posture or lying posture, or any such history can you get in retrosternal extension?
aggravated on sitting position.
Retrosternal. So from the clinical history, you said this is a euthyroid swelling,
Yes.
euthyroid, goiter,
Yes, sir.
possibility of malignancy because of the rapid increase in size of 1 month, but there are no features suggestive of any local infiltration, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In the clinical history, is there any evidence of any distant metastasis?
No, sir. In the clinical history, no evidence of any
Did
distant
you
metastasis.
say anything in the clinical history to say that no metastasis?
No, sir. No history of suggestive of any distant metastasis.
Did you say that?
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, sir.
Where did you say? I did not hear. Did you say any chest pain, hemoptysis, or cough?
Mention,
that he
mention,
mentioned.
sir.
That he mentioned.
Mention, sir. Mention, sir.
Did you say that?
Yeah, he mentioned.
Yes.
Yes, he mentioned.
No. No.
Yes. Yes, sir. Mention.
You should mention because you are suspecting malignancy, right? Any other swelling in the neck? Did you mention anything anywhere in the clinical history?
Yes, sir.
Because
No
you are
other
suspecting-
swellings. No other swellings in the neck. Mention, sir.
From the clinical history.
Yes, sir. No other swellings in the neck. It is also
Did you mention
mentioned.
anything in the history? Anywhere in the
Yes.
history?
Yes, sir. Specified.
Okay. Now this is a swelling of 5 years duration with rapid increase in the size within 1 month, and no history. There is no aggravation of swelling, especially on lying posture, which is the typical history you can get in rotational extension, not on sitting posture. And again, no history of any swelling in the lateral part of the neck, and no symptoms suggestive of any distant metastasis like cough, hemoptysis, or chest pain, or bony swelling or bony pain, especially on the head, because that is the most common site for the distant metastasis from a thyroid malignancy. And again, no symptoms suggestive of any hyper or hypo, so you can say this is a euthyroid goiter, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Okay, Dr. Rajnath Singh, anything you want to add?
Yeah,
Hello?
Dr. Arjunjeet.
Yes, sir.
Firstly, is there any other cause for a rapid increase in size of a thyroid swelling?
Sir, it can be if there is any bleeding into the existing node, it also causes.
So you don't think that could be a cause in this patient?
Sir, in this usually there will be associated pain, but this patient does not tell any.
Pain, and here it's important over what period the size increased. If
Yes,
it's
sir.
over 1 month or it's 1 day, so that will make a difference.
Yes, sir.
Right. So in the history, there's something known as the MEN syndromes,
Yes, sir.
which are associated with thyroid swellings or neoplasms. So anything in the history regarding the MEN syndromes you should ask?
Yes, sir. Nothing, sir. We can ask about any whether there is any excessive sweating, diarrhea, then all the.
The first thing would be features of hypertension.
Hypertension.
That is what you're worried about. Then comes hypercalcemia. Okay. Okay, that's all from me. You can move on, sir.
Okay. I want other Dr. Rajan Kurula. Want to add?
Yeah. What is significant in family history for any thyroid swelling in history? Is there any importance to family history?
Sir, in family history, we should ask about some malignancies run in families like syndromic associations, Carney's complex.
What malignancies usually run in families? Thyroid malignancies.
Sir, men syndrome, then syndromic associations like Carney's complex, then familial adenomatous polyposis and FAP.
Medullary carcinoma thyroid in men.
Yes.
Any benign swelling that run in families?
Yes, sir. Graves' disease, Hashimoto's thyroiditis.
Right.
Or,
Dysharmonogenetic goitres.
yes, sir.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dr.
Okay.
Ajay Kumar,
Sir, first of all,
Ajay,
let
anything
me
more?
place on my record my gratitude for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And Arjun, I have a question.
Yes.
What swellings are typically notorious for bleeding into the nodule, sudden increase in size, calcification? According to your history, there is a swelling on the right side for so many years. And for the past 1 month, she noticed increase in size.
Yes, sir.
So with us only that much history, you have invited the diagnosis of malignancy. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And at the end of the history, you presume that it is a solitary nodule. That is what
Yes,
you
sir.
said. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it more appropriate to think that the long-term complications of malignancies, the calcification and bleeding into a pre-existing swelling, those things are more common in benign diseases? Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Then can you just explain your stand? Can you justify your stand on the light of this argument? Because a malignancy occurring as a solitary nodule is very well established to have a malignancy de novo. Whereas, according to your history, for the past 5 years, it was a benign one. And for the past 1 month, it became malignant. That is why it grew faster, isn't it? Is
Yes,
it
sir.
appropriate or the other way around? Do you
The other
understand the point?
Sir, the other one is more appropriate, but in this case, there is no associated pain or symptoms to say.
Pain is not at all a symptom of malignancy.
Yes,
Pain
sir.
is a symptom of malignancy only in anaplastic carcinoma, where it
Yes, sir.
infiltrates the trachea, and the most reproducible classical symptom of malignancy, a silent symptom, is hoarseness of voice. Okay, and the pain is more in favor of a benign. I agree with you. Like swelling becomes very tense when there is bleeding into that. That is a minor point. I agree. But taking into account it not being a multinodular goiter as per the history, it is more likely to be a benign swelling or a malignant swelling itself. Patient might have had a misconception. It was growing slowly, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all, sir.
Okay. Arjun, I want to ask two questions. One is in the history. You didn't mention about the smoking history, because female or any relation to smoking and thyroid swelling.
Yes, sir. Malignancy.
That is not malignancy. Malignancy no relation to thyroid malignancy and smoking. Any other condition of thyroid can produce the relation to smoking and thyroid condition. No, yes or no?
Don't
know. Smoking can aggravate the exophthalmoplegia. So you should, if a patient, where you advise the patient, you should stop the smoking. Otherwise, it will aggravate. That is the relationship. And another in the radiation, you should be a little more specific. There is no childhood radiation.
Radiation.
Headland childhood, especially below the age of 5 years. That is important. That's all. Okay, you can proceed. General examination.
Sir,
Okay, start.
sir,
No problem.
stuck, sir. Sir, my slides are stuck, sir.
That's that.
Okay, you can present from mind. Previously, we used to present long presentations without
The
reading.
longest, you should not see the case
Yeah,
sheet.
yeah. Will not be given the case sheet to you when you present it as a long case.
Not
in
short
the
case.
exam.
Consider a long
Dayananda
case.
Babu sir has
Okay,
come, the doyen of thyroid in our fraternity. Welcome, sir, on behalf of Surgery Department of Calicut.
Okay, sir. I'll try.
You can present.
Sir,
General examination. You are in general examination.
General examination. A patient is examined in a well-lit room with adequate exposure after getting informed consent in the presence of a female bystander. Now, on examination, normal facies. Patient is conscious, oriented, cooperative, with good recall and registration. Moderately built and nourished. BMI is 22 kilogram per meter square. Karnofsky's performance score is 90. Coming to the vitals, patient's pulse rate is 78 per minute with regular rhythm, normal volume and character. Then BP is 100/80 in right arm supine position. No pallor, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, edema or generalized lymphadenopathy. Skin, hair, nail appears normal. Spine and scalp appears normal. No ptosis and exophthalmosis or tremor. Coming to the local examination. On inspection, an ovoid swelling of size 6 into 5 centimeter in front part of the neck. Laterally is extending up to the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid in the right side and 2 centimeters from the midline towards the left. Below up to the suprasternal notch and above up to the thyroid cartilage. Surface appears smooth. All margins are well defined. Non-pulsatile. Swelling moves up with deglutition but not with protrusion of tongue. Skin over the swelling appears normal. No dilated veins or discoloration. Position of the trachea appears normal and pubital test negative. No other swellings visible. Coming to the palpation, no local rise of temperature or tenderness. A 6 into 5 centimeter swelling with well-defined borders and lateral border at the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid in the right side, 2 centimeters from the midline to the left side, and to the left side it's 2 centimeters from the midline, and lower border at suprasternal notch and upper border below the thyroid cartilage. The swelling is uniformly firm in consistency, mobile in both vertical and horizontal direction. Skin over the swelling is normal. Coccus test is negative. Mild tracheal deviation to the left. Carotid pulsations palpable in normal position. No palpable pulsations over the swelling. No thrill. No other swellings palpable in front of the neck. Coming to the percussion. Resonant note over the manubrium sternum. Auscultation, no bruit. Examination of the cervical lymph node. No cervical lymphadenopathy. And coming to signs of toxicity, no tachycardia, no tremor, moist skin or thyroid bruit. No eye signs, no scalp swellings or spinal tenderness. Coming to the systemic examination, CVS, S1, S2 hurt, no murmur. CNS, higher mental functions were normal, no focal neurological deficits, reflexes are normal. Respiratory system, normal vesicular breath sounds and no added sounds. And per abdomen, soft, no organomegaly and bowel sounds present. Coming to the summary, 28-year-old lady presented with a solitary nodule in the right lobe of thyroid for 5 years duration with a recent increase in size for the past 1 month, and on examination showed a 6 × 5 centimeter swelling in right lobe of the thyroid extending to the midline with a smooth surface, firm in consistency, well-defined borders, no clinical evidence of lymph node involvement, no signs of hypo or hyperthyroidism, and no clinical evidence of pressure effect or metastasis. Coming to my professional diagnosis, so a solitary nodule of right lobe of thyroid with euthyroid status, probably a malignancy.
Wait. Dr. Abdul Latif, what about his general examinations? Anything odd or miss? General examination findings.
Yes, sir.
Coming to the general examination, any abnormal findings did you get?
No, sir.
Everything was within normal range.
Except a swelling in the neck, sir.
General examination, general examination.
Yes,
Don't
yes, sir.
go to the local physical examination.
No.
Right? About the
Yes,
general
sir.
examination, everything is normal. And the
Yes,
pulse
sir.
rate is only 78.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And here the say that patient is not giving the history of any drugs intake. Any intake of drug?
No,
Drugs.
not drug intake, sir. Not drug
Without
intake.
any drug intake, if the pulse rate is 78 per minute, we can take it as normal. Right?
Yes,
So
yes,
that
sir.
could be the reason why you thyroid.
Yes, sir.
Right? And
Yes,
no other clinical evidence of toxicity.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Then coming to the local examination, right? Where is that swelling arising from? What do you feel?
Sir, swelling arising from the right lobe of the thyroid gland, sir.
Okay, what is the transverse extent of the swelling?
Transverse extent, at right side, it is extending up to the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid, and left side, it is crossing the midline around 2 centimeters from the midline, sir.
So what is the normal extent of the right lobe of the thyroid gland?
Normal extent up to midline, sir.
Then why did you say this is arising from the right lobe of the thyroid gland?
Sir, on palpation also.
Because this, you specifically said that the tumor is arising from the right lobe of the thyroid gland, right?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
you said the left extent is 2 centimeter left to the midline. You have
Yes,
the
sir.
midline, it is extending left to 2 centimeter left to the midline. Again,
Yes, sir.
you want to see that this swelling is arising from the right lobe of the thyroid gland alone.
Yes, sir. When I palpate, sir, I could feel the trachea is deviated to left side, and the swelling appears to be on right side of the trachea.
You said that the trachea is central.
Sir, on inspection, it appears central, sir. On palpation, it is deviated to left, sir.
How do you find out whether the trachea is deviated to the right side, in the center, or left side?
Sir, when we can place our fingers over the costoclavicular junction and roll the finger, roll with the index finger from above downwards, we will feel the tracheal rings, and we can also auscultate over the trachea, and also by investigation we can look radiologically also whether clinically by this
investigation.
method, sir, by palpating and with auscultation, sir.
So now the trachea is shifted to the left side. That is your finding.
Yes, sir.
Palpation is to the left side, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then you said this is a firm swelling.
Yes, sir.
The surface of the swelling is smooth. The surface of the swelling is smooth. Surface. What about the surface of the swelling?
Surface appears smooth, sir.
Smooth surface. And
Yes,
it has got the free mobility, equal mobility vertically and transversely.
Yes, sir.
What is the extent of the swelling? What is the extent of the swelling? Vertical extent.
Vertical extent, upper border up to the thyroid cartilage and lower just above the suprasternal node, sir.
Then it has got free vertical mobility as same as that of the transverse mobility.
Sir, transverse mobility is more, sir, but vertically is also mobile, moving with the deglutition also, sir.
It is more with the deglutition, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And could you feel the lower border of the swelling?
Yes, sir. Lower border can be palpated, sir.
Then
or with inspection also visible, sir.
And why did you go for the pump button sign?
Sir, in some cases, if lower border is also visible, we may have some pedungulated swellings with retrosternal extension. To roll out that, I just
very good. Another swelling. This is not the pedungulated. Another swelling below that swelling may be there into the retrosternal space. Right? Yes. That is the answer. Very good. So that means any thyroid swelling, especially extending up to the suprasternal nodes, even if the lower border is fine, always go for the pump button side, because there may be a known palpable swelling. Below that swelling, that may be extending into the retrosternal area, right?
Yes,
then Coccus test, is it routinely done? Why do you want to do the Coccus test here?
Sir,
and how is it done? How is it done?
We should compress over the lateral lobes to check whether the patient is developing stridor.
Stridor. Then what is the inference do you get by pressing, by doing the test? Nowadays that Coccus test is not routinely done, but okay, if you do that Coccus test and if that patient develops stridor, what do you mean? What inference you are going to get?
We should suspect a tracheomalacia or tracheomalacia or tracheal indentation or compression of the lumen of the trachea.
Tracheomalacia. Is it common in short duration of
no, sir. No, sir. In long-standing goiters.
Long-standing goiters. In short, it is not usually common, right?
Yes, sir.
Then you did not get any cervical lymph nodes.
No, sir.
What are the primary cardinal signs of toxicity?
Sir, there may be tremor, then warm and moist hands, tachycardia, then eye signs may be there in primary.
Okay, then, fine. So with this finding, your diagnosis is solitary thyroid swelling.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And probably malignant. Why did you say this is a probably malignant swelling?
Sir,
do you have any clinical finding? Do you have any clinical finding to suggest that this is a malignant?
Nothing, sir. In clinical examination, nothing. But history-wise, there is a rapid increase in size for 1 month, and being a solitary nodule of thyroid, there is a possibility of malignancy.
So clinically, when do you diagnose? How do you diagnose a thyroid malignancy? What are the features should be present?
Sir, history-wise, sir, examination or history, sir?
History. Whenever there is a controversy between history and physical finding, where do you give that importance? Where do you give the importance? To the
clinical findings. Clinical findings, sir.
Okay, here the clinical finding is suggests your benign swelling and no evidence of any malignancy. And history suggests there is a remote possibility of malignancy, right?
Yes, sir.
Only with that rapid increase in size of within 1 month.
Yes, sir.
Is the clinical finding to suggest malignancy?
Nothing, sir.
Then why did you make the clinical diagnosis of malignancy here?
Sir, being a solitary nodule, there is a 20% chance to be malignant. And also in history, there is a small clue about.
If you have a solitary nodule, the chance of malignancy is 20%.
Yes, sir.
Suppose it is cystic solitary nodule. Because Salter nodule can be solid, Salter nodule can be cystic, that can be in female, that can be in male.
Yes, sir.
When do you suspect malignancy? With respect to the nature of the swelling, with respect to the sex of the patient.
Sir, solid swelling in male, sir. Rule of 12, sir. By rule of 12, solid swellings in male.
Suppose it is cystic swelling. What is the incidence?
Sir, cystic swelling 12%. 12%.
Okay, that means it is around 10 to 20%. The chance of malignancy is only 10 to 20%, according to the nature of the swelling. Then again, why do you go to the malignancy, which is 20%, and 80 to 90% being a benign swelling? Why did you go to the malignancy first? Because a solid swelling, you cannot say that that is a malignant swelling.
Yes, sir.
Right?
By I considering the history clue also, I consider the possibility of malignancy.
Okay, I think we get the opinion of the other examiners also.
Yes, Dr. Rajdeep Singh, you can comment. Hello? Dr. Singh?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
Dr. Arjunjit, whenever you start your presentation on the examination, it's always a good idea to mention in which position the patient was examined. So I presume it was in the sitting position, but you did not mention that.
Sir.
And examined from front and behind both. So those things have to be mentioned. Why does the thyroid move on deglutition?
Sir, the pretracheal fascia over the thyroid condenses to form Berry's ligament, and which is attached to the cricoid cartilage. And when the patient swallows, due to the movement of inferior constrictors and the whole larynx is moving upwards, so thyroid is also.
So what you are trying to say is that the thyroid is actually fixed through the ligament of Berry to the larynx.
Yes, sir.
You know? So when you're talking about fixity of the lump, so what you're talking about fixity to which structure?
Cricoid cartilage, sir.
No, you said the lump is not fixed, it is mobile in horizontal direction. You're talking about fixity to which structure?
Fixity to surrounding structures like trachea, strap muscles.
Trachea, it's already fixed to the trachea. You said it's fixed to the larynx, so it is fixed to the trachea already, normally.
Strap muscles, sir. Strap muscles or any infiltration into the trachea.
The strap muscle, if you move the lump, the strap muscles will also move along with them. So fixity becomes a T4B lesion if it's malignant. So fixity to what? If you remember T4B, you'll be able to answer that now. Vertebral fascia. It's not the trachea. It's already fixed to the
prevertebral fascia.
Yeah. So you check for tremor in the fingers and tremor in the tongue. Why does tremor occur in hyperthyroidism?
I'm not sure.
Okay, something to do with the irregular
sympathetic.
Okay, so why does the sympathetic activity increase?
There is increased response to adrenergic receptors.
Yes, exactly. So why is there an increased response?
Thyroxine upregulates the beta receptors.
It upregulates the postsynaptic receptors.
Yes, sir.
So that's why there is incoordinate firing of the neurons. That's why some fascicles of the muscles are firing, others are not contracting. So there's incoordinate contraction. That's why the tremors occur. What do you mean by a dominant nodule?
Sir, dominant nodule is a nodule, discrete nodule palpable in enlarged or otherwise pathological thyroid gland.
So is it possible this may be a dominant nodule?
Yes, possible, sir. Clinically, there is the rest of the gland appears normal, but on further evaluation on radiology, we may find other nodules also. So it can be a dominant nodule.
Sorry, maybe wrong. Right. And I agree with Dr. Abdul that the Coccus test should not be done. So many people would actually object to why this test has actually been done. Right. So avoid mentioning it unless the examiner asks for it.
Yes, sir.
Right, sir, Dr. Gopi?
Okay, Dr. Ajay Kumar.
Arjun,
Yes, sir.
I have a basic undergraduate question to you. What are the possibilities you entertain in this case, especially a 28-year-old lady with a nodule involving the right lobe below? The classical possibilities.
Sir, it can be a nodule of a multinodular goiter, a dominant nodule.
Okay.
Then there can be adenoma.
Okay.
Then there is a possibility of any malignant thyroid swelling.
Okay.
Then any thyroiditis,
localized thyroiditis. Since thyroiditis, especially Hashimoto's, is very common in ladies, middle age, is possible. But what contributory finding you will get when you palpate the other lobe in thyroiditis?
Sir, the other lobe will also be.
What is the feel? What is the consistency?
Consistency will be firm, hard.
Firm or woody, isn't it?
Woody.
Okay, right. So regarding the discussion between the infiltration and the pressure symptoms, none is here, isn't it? In this lady, no pressure symptoms, even if it is long term of 5 years. There is no infiltration, isn't it? Yes, still, you want to consider malignancy. We would have agreed, suppose this was a male and this much size swelling, 35-year-old male, we should have agreed. But the problem is, it is a lady, it is 5 years. This growth has occurred in 5 years, not the 4 years, 11 months, it was very small, and 1 year, it has achieved the size of this much, isn't it? So I think taking together everything, the first diagnosis should be a benign one.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Okay, Brojan, anything more?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Dr. Ajay Kumar said. You are basing your diagnosis as malignancy purely on the history. I mean, how big was the swelling about 3 months ago? Any idea? Do you have any idea?
Sir, according to the history, it started as a 2 centimeter swelling, and 1 month back, it was around size of a 3 into 2 centimeter only. But for the past 1 month, it rapidly progressed. That's how she tells the history.
So that rapid size increase is very, very clear. So you are basing your diagnosis more on that aspect, increase in size.
Sir. Yes, sir.
I would like to add one more point. In differentiated thyroid cancers, this history doesn't fit it. It is a progression of the malignancy in its own pace. It can be a malignancy like follicular carcinoma or a carcinoma occurring in a pre-existing thyroid with multiple nodules, and one nodule increases without pain. You may entertain this possibility. There is no pain because there was no hemorrhage. It is solid inconsistency. And one more point with extension of Abdul Latif Sir's question, the mobility of the thyroid. Actually, what mobility you are eliciting?
Intrinsic mobility.
Yeah, intrinsic mobility. Before eliciting the mobility which Abdul Latif Sir asked, what is the most important preliminary step you do?
Sir, before transfer or
any mobility,
we have to fix the trachea, sir. Fix the trachea.
No, you have to extend the neck.
Extend.
So that the D fascia becomes taut. Then try to hold the thyroid swelling. Then you move up and laterally. Then otherwise you will be confused with the intrinsic mobility of the tracheolaryngeal apparatus. That is a very important point, especially during tension time in the university exam. You may get a transverse mobility. Actually, it is a mobility of the tracheolaryngeal apparatus along with the thyroid, because that may be the only point which changes the diagnosis as age spaced becomes extrathyroidal infiltration. Okay, that's all.
Okay, Arjun. In the general section, I want to mention few points. Even though there is a not toxic patient, you can mention about the skin. Skin is dry or moist, or any pre-tubal myxedema present or not. What is pre-tubal myxedema?
Sir, thickening of the skin due to the deposition of glycosaminoglycans.
By feeling, what is the feeling?
Rough.
What is a classical physical sign you elicit? That is what sir is asking. In pre-tibial myxedema, what is a classical physical sign you elicit apart from the inspection finding?
Yes, it is non-inflammatory indurated plaque. That is a pre-tibial myxedema. Usually common, which sites you will see? Which side of the leg, lower leg?
Leg, anterior
and lateral and over the trauma, mainly over the trauma. Is it possible to develop elephantiasis due to the this pre-tibial myxedema?
Sure.
Elephantiasis. Yes, extreme case there will be elephantiasis, bilateral elephantiasis. Elephantiasis can develop following this, and it actually is a orange pale skin. Pre-tibial. And you mentioned about clubbing. What is the special name for that clubbing? Thyroid toxicity and clubbing.
Thyroid
mentioned there's no
acropathy.
Acropathy.
Thyroid acropathy.
And you mentioned. And the positions already mentioned that, but is Lahey's method. What is Kreil's method of palpation?
Sir, for examining very small swelling, we can place the thumb over the swelling and ask the patient to swallow, and we can appreciate the mobility or the palpate the swelling.
What are the possible examiner in palpation of thyroid? Examiners. What are the positions?
Sir, classical method by standing behind the patient and asking by keeping our thumb over the nape of the foot and just flexing the neck, we can palpate the thyroid. Then by Lahey's method,
palpate the lobe of the thyroid, posterior part, and the Lahey's method in front.
Then Lahey's method we from front.
What do you mean with hypothyroid phases? Phase is hypothyroid.
Sir, there will be
phase is hypothyroid.
Phase. Sir, that's the lips will be.
What is the appearance of a patient with a hypothyroid? That is the question. Classical appearance.
Puffy face with protruded lips, then lateral mudrosis.
Any sign that loss of lateral mudrosis? Any sign? That is Q9 sign. Q9 lateral loss of.
Yes, sir.
That is a hypothyroidism. Very difficult to diagnose hypothyroidism actually. Hyper you can diagnose. Okay. Then come to go to our that exam. You are now diagnosis solitary nodule thyroid. Any differential diagnosis for that in thyroid? Already mentioned or not mentioned? Only solitary nodule thyroid. Second.
Only solitary nodule thyroid, sir.
No other diagnosis. You already mentioned one more diagnosis. A dominant nodule in a that you are diagnosed.
Dominant nodule in a multinodal.
Okay. So how will you manage? The examiners can discuss. Dr. Abdul Latif.
Yes. See, in the clinical history, you are suspecting malignancy. But in the clinical finding, this is a solitary nodular thyroid. This is your impression, but we stick on the clinical finding. So this may be a euthyroid, soltinolar thyroid, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How do you investigate?
Sir, first I would like to do a TSH to look for the values, if it whether there is any
That
hype
is
or
normal. TSH is normal.
so then I will go for a ultrasound of the neck to do a thyroid grading.
What do you mean by thyroid's grading?
Sir, the ultrasound grading of the risk assessment of the nodules in the thyroid, it can be PR 1 to 5.
What is
one is benign, 2 is not suspicious, 3 mildly suspicious, 4 moderately suspicious, and 5 is highly suspicious.
So there is, you can never get any normal thyroid in ultrasound.
That's 0 thyroid. Normal.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is 1? What is 5?
5 is benign and
Then
5.
Then 6. Is there any 6?
Benign or
6,
normal?
6.
6.
Thyroid
If
6.
it is proven, biopsy proven malignancy.
Proved malignancy. Cytologically proved malignancy. What is 1? What is 1?
1 is benign, sir.
1 is normal thyroid. Right? And the 6 proved malignancy. And in between you can get benign and the malignancy. Right? What is the full form of thyroid?
Thyroid imaging and reporting system, sir.
Data system.
Reporting. What is D? Thyroids. D also there.
Sir,
Data system. Data system.
Data.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Leave. Any other advantage of doing this ultrasound in this particular patient? Because we were suspecting it could be a soltinolar thyroid or dominant nodule, something like that we are suspecting.
Yes,
By
sir.
doing the ultrasound, can you get any other information other than the thyroids?
Yes, sir. We can look whether any other clinically impalpable nodules present in the gland, and we can also see whether
So
any
we can
lymph.
see that whether it is a dominant nodule or is it
Yes, sir. Yes,
or
sir.
is it either it could be a dominant nodule or not. Right.
Yes,
so what is the finding here? What is the finding you get in the ultrasound? What is the finding?
sir.
What is the finding did you have in this patient?
Sir,
You say some finding. What do you want?
Sir, whether there is solitary nodule or dominant nodule in a.
What are the features of malignancy in the ultrasound?
Sir, it will be the follicles will be taller than wider, loss of peripheral halo, microcalcifications, then hypoechoic, then other lymph nodes may be seen.
Okay, then ultrasound, you are not suspecting any malignancy, right? That is thyroids 3. How do you proceed?
Sir, in thyroid T, we have to look for the size. If it is more than 2.5 centimeter, we have to do a FNAC, sir. And if it is less than 2.5, we have to follow up the patient.
It is 2 centimeter.
Sir, we have to follow up 3 months, depending upon the clinical this suspicion, and we have to follow up, sir.
So clinically, you are suspecting benign disease. Here it is 6 into 5 centimeter. It is thyroids 3.
Yes, sir.
How do you proceed? In your case, I don't know theory in your patient, how do you proceed?
We will follow up the patient, sir.
It is 6 into 5 centimeter nodule. That is the size of this
yes,
nodule.
Yes, sir.
What is the size of this swelling? What is the size of the swelling you have?
6 into 5 centimeters, sir.
Size of the swelling. Now, TARAT
6 into 5
3,
centimeters, sir.
you will not go for any ultrasound? Sorry, any FNSE? Will you go
sir,
for FNSE or not?
Yes, sir. In this case, it is we will go for FNAC, sir.
Not trocar biopsy.
No, sir. FNAC, sir.
We will not go for a trocar biopsy. We always go for the FNSE, right?
FNAC.
And
yes,
the FNSE, any other investigation do you like to do in this patient? Because you said about the thyroid function test, you said about the ultrasound, you said about the FNSE. How do the FNSE?
Yes,
is it with the help of ultrasound or clinically based?
Ultrasound guided FNAC, sir, preferred.
Why? Why do you want to do ultrasound guided FNSE here?
Sir, we have to take the passes from suspicious areas, sir.
Very good. In this particular patient, why do you want to do ultrasound guided FNSE? Always we should go for the ultrasound guided FNSE, always which is recommended. But in this particular patient, definitely we should go for ultrasound guided FNSE. What is the reason?
Sir, to take the FNAC from the suspicious area.
Suspicious lesion, solid lesion, everything suspect, everything accepted. But the problem here is we are getting the history of rapid increase in the size of the swelling of 1 month.
Yes, sir.
Right? So the
Yes,
second reason for the rapid increase in the size, or you can say the first reason for the rapid increase in the size of the swelling is bleeding into the nodule.
Bleeding.
That is to be differentiated by the ultrasound. And
Yes, sir.
whenever you take FNSE, that should be from a representative tissue, that is from the
Yes,
solid area, not from the cystic area.
Cystic
right?
area. Yes, sir.
Do you want to do any other investigation in this particular patient for diagnosis?
Sir,
For diagnosis.
Sir, for FNAC, we can Bethesda, we can look depending. FNAC report will be.
That is all accepted.
Yes, sir.
FNAC report. What report do you want?
I can. I should do an X-ray of the neck, sir. X-ray of the neck should be done.
I already said for the diagnosis.
All right.
For the diagnosis. Anyway, no more investigation is recommended. It is not required for this particular patient, right? What are the other investigations you plan? The question is, any role for any antibodies, number one.
Okay, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Audible, sir.
Any role for measurement of thyroid antibodies?
Sir, yes, sir. Anti-TPO antibodies. If to rule out thyroiditis, we can do antibodies, sir. Anti-TPO antibodies, anti-peroxidase antibodies.
Again, problem. Audibility. Hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Abdullah, you are not audible. Hello. Some problem. Hello, Dr. Rajnath Singh. Hello. Hello. You discussed the investigation that FNAC and ultrasound. Further.
Yeah. So my question, Dr. Arjun.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Okay. So my question is, if
Hello?
the swelling turns out to be cystic on ultrasound, what would you do then?
Sir, if it is cystic, we can do an aspiration.
Need something on ultrasound which you would like to see before going straight for aspiration?
Complex cyst, sir. Whether it is complex.
Yeah. So whether it's associated with a solid lesion, the wall may be solid, the major may be cystic. Okay. So you go for aspiration. What do you want to see now?
Yeah. Sir, whether there is the disappearance, or whether there is any blood.
Blood, yes. Number one, blood.
And cytology.
2,
Then we
cytology.
can send for
Yes.
cytology.
3.
Then if there is any culture.
Culture is not that much of an issue. Any residual mass is there or not?
Yes, sir.
After aspiration, if there's a residual mass. So if there is blood, there's a residual mass. If there's a complex cyst, then what is the approach then?
Then we have to take a FNA from the residual.
Yeah. So the chances of malignancy are high. But supposing none of these features are present, what do you do now?
Sir, none of which.
So there is no residual solid mass. There was no blood on aspiration, and the cyst collapsed completely after aspiration.
Okay, sir. We can reassure the patient and follow up. And if the cyst is recurring, we have to plan for surgery, sir. Or after 2 or 3.
If it recurs once?
2 to 3, sir. Or after 3 aspirations, we have to go for surgery, sir.
Okay. Any tumor markers you know about for thyroid cancers?
Sir, medullary carcinoma, calcitonin.
Okay. Would you like to get those also done? Yeah. Any tumor marker for follicular papillary carcinoma?
No, sir.
It's of no use getting them pre-operatively, but post-operatively thyroglobulin levels are
post-operatively thyroglobulin.
Yeah, so pre-operatively it's not of much use.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So any other investigation? What's the role of radionuclide scanning in these patients?
Sir, in this case, as there is no signs of toxicity, there is no role for radionuclide scan.
Okay. So it's only in hyperthyroid patients you will go for a radionuclide scan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any role of radionuclide studies or in malignancy?
No, sir.
After surgery?
No role. After surgery, sir, for follow-up, sir.
To find the residual or lymph nodes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can move on, sir.
Okay. Ajay Kumar and Ajay Kumar.
The Arjun,
Yes,
regarding the investigation of a thyroid swelling, there is a classical protocol for all thyroid swellings. Just like the triple assessment of breast, just like the BI-RADS of the breast, you have everything in thyroid also.
Yes.
So there should be no confusion.
Yes,
the clinical assessments, the radiological or sonological, and the histopathology. And your ultrasound, as subjectives are said, can give immense amount of information. For example, it can tell whether it is a solid swelling or a cystic swelling. Even if it is a cystic swelling, as Dr. Rajdeep said, is it a pure cystic swelling or a solid and cystic swelling? Then you can do a diagnostic aspiration, ultrasound guided, see the remnant solid swelling is there, isn't it? Then you know whether it is a dominant nodule or a solitary nodule alone, isn't it? And you know the consistency, the hyperechoic nature of the whole left lobe, and giving the possibility of a coexisting Hashimoto's thyroiditis, isn't it? And your D4 TSH is also important. Why? You are suspecting malignancy in the history, one point in the history. So generally, hyperthyroid patients, the chance of malignancy is less. It is euthyroid or hypothyroid. Then there is a very small role for technetium 99 or iodine uptake by cold nodules, isn't it? Right. So classically, these three things should be at your fingertips when you are asked in the university exam.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Then your tracheal shift, your non-palpable lymph nodes, so many things you can get with a very good ultrasound probe.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you other exam, Dr. Rajan.
Yeah.
Hello, before the
when would you consider a CT scan for a thyroid swelling?
Sir, when we are suspecting any retrosternal extension, and whether we are suspecting any infiltration into the surrounding structures.
Okay.
Suspect,
so if you have fixity on clinical examination, you definitely should do a CT
scan.
Same way, if you suspect a retrosternal extension, you have to do a CT.
Yes, sir.
Right. If you do a thyroid scan in this patient, what, I mean uptake scan. If you do an uptake scan, what type of picture would you expect? Like a cold nodule or hot nodule or warm nodule?
Sir, it can be hot nodule or
hot nodule.
If malignant, it will be cold nodule. Cold.
What does the uptake scan show in majority of solitary nodule thyroid?
Cold nodules.
And how much of cold nodules turn out to be malignant ultimately? If you get 100 cold nodules,
20%.
Yeah, less than 20% is malignant. So the fact that it is cold means it's not always malignant. Okay. Okay. Is there any role for MRI?
Sir, if we are suspecting any nerve infiltration or like hoarseness of voice, we can go for MRI for better delineation.
Right.
Soft tissue infiltration also better delineated with MRI.
Is it possible to see the recurrent Indian nerve and parathyroid by MRI?
No, sir. We can see the loss of fatty hilum, fat plane between.
Other conditions where you should not do a contrast CT. Some people say you should not do a contrast CT of the neck for thyroid. Are there conditions, any condition that you can tell me? I mean, they say you should not do, but most people do.
Sir, if you are planning for any radioactive iodine treatment on follow-up, we should not do iodine study.
Why is that?
May cause stunning effect in the post-operative.
Very good, very good. Yeah. That's all.
Yes. So investigate. Dr. Abdul Latif is audible now?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah,
audible. We discussed the isotope study.
Arjun,
yes,
I could hear all these things. All these things I could listen. Arjun, what more investigation do you want before planning the treatment here? We all discussed about the investigations. What Dr. Ajamar said is triple. That should be done in every case of thyroid swelling, and there is no role for any other investigations what we discussed. And do you want to do any other investigation in this particular patient before starting the treatment?
Sir,
because in the clinical finding you said the position of something you said.
Yes, sir. I have to do a chest X-ray, sir. X-ray of the neck.
X-ray of the neck and the X-ray of the chest. Why do you want to do that?
Sir, I have to look whether there is any tracheal indentation, whether there is any tracheal deviation, and also I can look for any calcification in the thyroid.
Does it change the management?
Sir,
do you expect any? Suppose you get any calcification in the X-ray, what do you suspect then?
Sir, depending on upon the pattern of the calcification, sir, if it is
X-ray, not in the ultrasound.
Sir, if it is microbe calcification, we should.
It is not suggestive of malignancy, right? It is the usual picture of a benign disease, right? Forget about that. Usually, we are more worried about the position of the trachea, whether the trachea is compressed or is it shifted alone. That is to be assessed by the X-ray abdomen, sorry, X-ray chest and the X-ray neck. That should be done, right?
Yes, sir.
So with all these investigations, you have a clear-cut diagnosis. One, is it a thyroid swelling? Is it a dominant swelling or sortinola thyroid? Or is it a benign swelling or malignant swelling as per the cytology report? And with the X-ray, the trachea is shifted but not compressed, right?
Yes.
How do you proceed further?
Uh,
And you all other investigations which is required for the surgery or anesthesia, if you consider surgery. I'm not saying that this surgery is a treatment. How do you proceed further?
Sir, first I
Don't
will
go for any other investigations.
indirect or video laryngoscopy, sir, to preoperatively
why do you want to do that?
To preoperatively document the status of the recurrent laryngeal nerve, whether there is any undetected.
Here there is no hoarseness of voice.
Sir, in unilateral undetected recurrent laryngeal nerve involvement, patient may not have any hoarseness.
That means asymptomatic recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy.
Yes,
What is the incidence? What is the incidence?
Sir, less than 5%.
Is it very common?
No, sir, less than 5%.
It's less than 1%.
It is around 1%. Forget. Anyway, that is to be done. That is to be done before if you consider any surgery. Right.
Yes.
So you decided for surgery in this patient, is it?
Yes, sir.
Why? Why do you want to do? Why do you consider surgery for this particular patient?
Sir, this patient, one is a cosmetic indication is there. Then the swelling is causing tracheal deviation. So there is a pressure symptoms, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the reason, because patient has got clear-cut evidence of tracheal deviation, and definitely 6 into 5 centimeter has got a cosmetic problem. So that is another indication for surgery. These are the 2 indications for surgery. Maybe it may be a benign swelling because of these 2 things. One, cosmetic reason. Second one is the tracheal shift. Tracheal deviation, you decide for surgery, right?
Yes.
And before the surgery, what are the things will you do? What are the investigations? Once you consider surgery, what are the prerequisites? There are certain investigations which are very much mandatory. What are the investigations? One you already said indirect laryngoscopy or direct laryngoscopy. Any other investigations which are mandatory?
We have to look the hemoglobin level of the patient. Then we have to look for the coagulation profile.
For this thyroid surgery, that will be done for any surgery. For thyroid surgeries,
calcium, sir. Calcium.
Right. And you straight away take that patient for surgery, or do you communicate with that patient for something else?
Sir, I will communicate with the patient that we are going for surgery, and depending upon the final report, we may have to do a second procedure if we are.
What report? What report? Pathology report.
Histopathology report.
That is only after surgery, right? Just before
Sir,
surgery,
intraoperatively also, if we are suspicious of nodules in the opposite.
That is your plan of surgery. With your surgery, you want to discuss with your patients about any complications that can happen during the surgery.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How do you discuss with your patient?
I have to discuss about the complications the chance of recurrent laryngeal injury, then there is a chance of post-op development of stridor or post-op breathing difficulty, need of intubation, tracheostomy, then all those things I have.
Something else, which is more common in which is the most common complication in after total thyroidectomy?
Sir, we have to explain about the lifelong supplementation of thyroxine, and if there is incidence of permanent parathyroid injury and permanent calcium supplementation.
Which is more common? Is it nerve injury or ischemia? It is hypoparathyroidism.
Hypoparathyroidism.
Which is more common? Hypoparathyroidism, which is more common. What is the incidence? That is more common than nerve injury.
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay, forget. And after that, discussing with that patient, you are taken up full surgery. What surgery do you consider here? If you consider surgery.
Sir,
because maybe what are the different thyroid surgeries will you consider now? What are the different types of thyroid surgeries? Now
hemithyroidectomy and total thyroidectomy, sir.
These are the two surgical procedures we consider. Between these two, which one do you consider here?
If it is benign, we can go for hemithyroidectomy, sir.
This is, you have the ultrasound report, you have the cytology report, everything is benign. Now there are two surgical procedures are recommended. One is hemithyroidectomy, the other one is total thyroidectomy. Here, which one do you prefer?
Hemithyroidectomy.
Because the report is benign.
Hemithyroidectomy, sir.
And the size of the tumor is what on? Hemithyroidectomy.
Yes, sir.
You go for the hemithyroidectomy. What is the advantage of hemithyroidectomy over total thyroidectomy?
The patient.
What are the advantages?
Sir, patient won't go for permanent hypothyroidism, sir. The other lobe will function, and patient will not.
The other lobe is totally normal, right?
Totally, yes, sir. Totally normal. Other lobe will function.
Second.
Then there is if we have any injury in the any structures like a recurrent laryngeal nerve injury on unilateral side, it will be no problem. The morbidity to the patient will be
no problem. Means that we cannot say there is no problem. But the
morbidity
incidence of hypoparathyroidism is less.
Yes, sir.
Right? And the injury to the bilateral nerve injury is less if you go for unilateral surgery. Right?
Yes,
so, what are the indications for total thyroidectomy in a salty nolar gold?
Sir, if FNA comes as Bethesda 4 and 5, sir. 4 and 5.
Bethesda 4 and 5. What do you mean by Bethesda 4?
It's suggestive of follicular, suggestive of malignancy and malignancy, sir.
Pardon?
Suggestive of malignancy and malignancy, sir.
Suggestive malignancy and
malignancy and what is that?
Sir, 4 is the FNA suggestive of malignancy. And 5 is
which is follicular neoplasm? Which one is follicular neoplasm? Which Bethesda grade?
4, sir.
4.
Yes, sir.
5 is?
Yes, sir.
5 is?
Sir. 5 is suggestive of malignancy.
Suppose you get 4. What type of surgery will you consider here? Bethesda 4.
Sir, in my case, it is the size is more than 4 centimeter. So I will go for total thyroidectomy.
What is the logic? What is the why do you want to go for total? What is the explanation?
Sir, if according to Bethesda 4, I can explain to the patient, sir. If it is if the final report comes as malignancy, either we have to go for post-operative completion thyroidectomy, or if the patient is not willing for a second surgery, we can directly go for total thyroidectomy, or we can do a
And that should be the
hemithyroidectomy.
decision you always discuss with the patient and give that option. Give that option to the patient.
Yes, sir.
About the
Yes, sir.
total and the hemithyroidectomy or lobectomy, what is it called? Then take that and to proceed according to the patient's decision.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Suppose the patient says, doctor, you take your own decision for my benefit. How do you take that decision? Patient put that decision on you. How do you take that decision?
Sir,
in your patient, if you have a Bethesda 4,
sir,
you said total, what is the logic?
I will consider this with clinical aspect also. Clinically, it is more in favor of a benign disease. I will.
Your answer is right. Arjun, your answer is right.
Yes,
if it is of 6 centimeter, if it is Bethesda 4, you can go for the total thyroidectomy.
Yes, sir.
And what is the reason for that?
Sir,
why do you want to go for that?
More than
follicular neoplasm can be benign, can be malignant.
Malignant, sir. Sir, there is 30% of chance for it to be malignant. So,
30%. Where did you get it from, that 30%?
15 to 30% in Bethesda 4, it is in short.
Bethesda 4, if it is more than 4 centimeter, around 50% of the tumors are benign and 50% of the tumors are malignant. If it is less than 4 centimeter, the majority will be benign and only the minority will become malignant, right? Yes. So any tumor of 6 centimeter, you can consider for the total thyroidectomy, because the possibility of malignancy, if you have a FNSE evidence of follicular neoplasm, the chance of malignancy with this size is more.
Yes, sir.
If that swelling is solid.
Yes, sir.
If the swelling is solid, right? That should be the treatment, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Then other examination can also.
Okay, Alesh. Singh. Dr. Singh. Rajnath Singh.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. What is it?
Dr. Arjunjit, in which cases would you like to go for MEN workup?
Sir, if it is in Bethesda 3, sir, 3 and 4, depending on case. Sir.
Is it dependent on the Bethesda classification, or is dependent on the type of pathology you are going to get?
Depends on the cytology answer.
Cytology. So in which case will you go for MEN workup?
MEN, okay, sir. In Bethesda 5.
Dr. Arjun, which type of thyroid tumor is associated with MEN syndrome?
Medullary carcinoma.
It's a medullary carcinoma. So only if it's medullary will you go for MEN workup?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what is the workup and which surgery will you do first?
Sir, workup means...
Supposing it turns out to be MTC, medullary thyroid carcinoma, what is the workup you are going to do?
Yes, sir. First, we have to do a ultrasound of the abdomen, then urinary.
Looking for
any adrenal pheochromocytoma.
Is adrenal well seen on an ultrasound?
No, sir.
So, what is the investigation of choice for an adrenal?
Urinary 24-hour urinary catecholamine.
For screening, yes. Yes. Then
we have to calcitonin level.
Calcitonin
level.
Okay,
tumor.
that's a tumor marker. Yes. What else?
CEA is also a tumor.
No, I want to know about some other organs which may be involved. So one you said is pheochromocytoma. What else?
Then parathyroids may be involved.
Okay. Okay.
Then cutaneous in MEN 2A, sir, or maybe.
Cutaneous, which you are answering wrong.
You're going in the wrong direction. Anyway, supposing the patient has got an adrenal mass also, and the patient has got thyroid cancer also, medullary thyroid cancer. So what will be your approach now?
First, we have to do an adrenalectomy, sir.
But you still don't know whether it's a functioning adrenal or not.
Sir, we will look for catecholamine estimation.
Okay, so you get the catecholamine levels. Before that, you'll check for hypertension in the patient.
Hypertension.
History and examination both. Right. So you do an adrenalectomy first and then go for thyroid. How does the surgery for follicular and papillary thyroid cancer and medullary thyroid cancer differ?
Total thyroidectomy, sir.
Okay.
With in medullary carcinoma with central neck dissection.
Yeah, provided there is no lateral nodes.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So what are the prognostic criteria? There are many of them. One or two you can mention.
Ages, age,
so what are the components of those prognostic criteria?
Age, grade of the tumor. Then
age. What is the cutoff age?
Now it's 55.
Okay. Grade. Okay. Then E.
Then extent of extrathyroid extension.
Yes.
And then size of the tumor.
Size. What is the cutoff size?
4 cm.
Sorry?
4 centimeters.
4 for high risk. For low risk is less than 2 years. Right. Okay. So the surgery, there are number of questions on the procedure also. I'll just skip that part. Dr. Gopi, you can move on now.
Okay. If it FNS reported as follicular adenoma, the confusion is. Otherwise, in papillary carcinoma, medullary carcinoma, all thyroidectomy is the surgical part. And only in the anaplastic carcinoma, most of them is not possible surgery. If it is possible, you can do it totally. Otherwise, just do the avoid tracheostomy in medullary. And you mentioned in anaplastic, you mentioned the true cut biopsy. Only true cut only two conditions. That is anaplastic and lymphoma. Otherwise, in thyroid, there is no role for true cut biopsy. Only FNAC. So only FNAC confusion in case of follicular adenoma, whether you are going hemi or total. Otherwise, in benign, always you can do this hemithyroidectomy. Other malignancy, total thyroidectomy. And how will you diagnose papillary carcinoma? In pathology, how will you diagnose?
Sir, there will be orphan nucleus, then dystrophic calcification, Ramamba bodies, then of Phoebe appearance.
What is the isotope study for medullary carcinoma? Any isotope study available?
Sir, indium 11 octreotide cancer.
Okay.
Indium 111 octreotide.
What are the other hormones secreted by parafollicular cells other than calcitonin? So many hormones secreted by the somatotonin, VIPs, serotonin, histamines, substance P. If it is patient present with diarrhea, it's a good prognosis or bad prognosis in medullary carcinoma?
Bad prognosis.
What are the good prognosis signs in medullary carcinoma?
If there is not any syndromic association.
It is associated with somatostatin staining and amyloidosis, calcitonin age. It is good prognosis. So now you are come to other two more examinations. Ajay Kumar and Rojan. Ajay Kumar.
So I think every part is covered except operative surgery. So we were discussing about parathyroid preservation, recurrent nerve injury and all. Can you just tell the classical surgical steps to protect your parathyroid and recurrent laryngina? 3 or 4 points.
Sir, while ligating the inferior thyroid artery, we should identify the branches, and it should be ligated close to the terminal branch to close to the capsule.
What is that
That is
dissection
undergraduate
called?
answer, not the postgraduate answer.
What is the dissection called? Intracapsular dissection.
Intracapsular.
Go inside the capsule, then decide from inside out. See the branches piercing the capsule and ligate them one by one. Okay, agree. That is about parathyroid. The most important thing is you try to identify the parathyroid and preserve its blood supply. There is a broad guideline. Okay. Any law and all, you know, to identify the parathyroids? Okay. So what about recurrent laryngina? Classical.
Recurrent laryngeal we can search for recurrent laryngeal nerve in the tracheoesophageal groove, and we can trace it upward.
Can you specify the recurrent nerve, inferior thyroid artery, and superior part? What is the relation?
What is that triangle called?
I forgot.
Okay.
So once you actually remove the parathyroid, what do you do? Once you actually remove
we have to take out the gland and mince it, and in saline we can drop in saline, and the one which is submerged can be taken into a syringe and can auto transplant into sternocleidomastoid. Syringe and can auto transplant into the.
So injecting
into
you take the gland. Once you slice it, and what do you do?
And we will take it in a cannula and inject into the sternocleidomastoid.
That is one technique. That is the rinsed with the ringer lactate. Other is the common technique describes the multiple slice, mince it, and keep in pocket of sternocleidomastoid and put a non-observed stitch there. That is your technique. Okay, Dr. Rojan, lastly, Dr. Rojan.
Yeah. Do you go for identifying the nerve always? Is that the best method? You're convinced?
Yes, sir. Always we have to identify the recurrent laryngina.
Yeah, so principal identification of the nerve is a must when you do a thyroid surgery. Tell me something about the upper pole management. The superior thyroid artery is ligated where?
Superior thyroid artery should be ligated as close to the gland. We have to dissect medially in the avascular plane, and should ligate as close to the gland to avoid external laryngeal nerve injury. Sir.
Right. The superior thyroid artery also divides into branches. If possible, you have to ligate each of these branches separate.
Yes.
Okay. Which parathyroid is more likely to get injured?
Inferior.
I think both are at the same risk. If you cannot identify the parathyroids properly, both are equal risk of getting injured. And the parathyroids are supplied by which artery?
Inferior thyroid artery. Sir.
In majority of the cases, it's not a hard and fast rule. You can get superior. Yeah, it can get it. Yeah.
What is tuberculous sucralcyl? Tuberculous sucralcyl.
Sir, it is a posterior extension of the lateral lobe, which is also a identification mark for the recurrent laryngina.
That is called
tuberculous sucralcyl.
What are the other embryological remnants of thyroid?
Sir, thyroglosal cyst.
It is abnormal. Okay. Normally it's not seen.
Then pyramidal lobe.
Pyramidal lobe. Good. Then one more.
Lingual.
Dayananda Babu sir's favorite topic. The thyrothymic ligament remnant of the thyroid tissue. These are the classical three things. One is Hooke-Candrel, second is pyramidal lobe, third is thyroid remnant in the thyrothymic ligament. And
Thyrothymic ligament also that contain inferior parathyroid, that pointing inferior. Yes. What else? What is the color of parathyroid? What is the color?
Sir, it's peanut butter.
Peanut butter. What is simple? You can what's color?
Something that we never see.
Then I will see color of the parathyroid is the jaundice tongue of a hummingbird. Have you seen it? Never in your life? Tongue of a jaundice hummingbird. That is description in one textbook. So what is the color for our purpose, our practical purpose? What is the color? How will you teach your undergraduate students? What is the color?
Yellowish.
Yellowish.
Brownish yellow, golden yellow color. Golden. What are differential diagnosis of parathyroid? What are other simulating parathyroid? What are other tissues?
Fat tissue.
Fat, very good. One is fat, second.
Then lymph node.
Lymph node, good. Then two more. You can confuse. Do the surgery.
Thyroid.
Part of
thyroid.
Part of thyroid and part of thymus. These are the differential diagnosis of the parathyroid. So I think we can conclude here. Now we will go to our evaluate, Dr. Ryan sir and Dr. Dayananda Basu sir. Dr. Dayananda Basu sir, almost end of the session.
Good presentation and good discussion. Am I audible?
Yes,
yes, sir. Yes, well audible.
A few points in the history. Always you should mention about history of radiation.
Yes, sir.
In childhood.
Yes, sir.
So, history of radiotherapy. For what condition you give radiotherapy in childhood? Arjun?
Sir, this lymphoma, sir. Lymphoma. Then cranial tumor.
And olden days maybe tonsillitis, all those things.
Tonsillitis.
And also in the history, you should ask for history of goiter in first degree relatives, especially thyroid malignancy in first degree relatives. That you should mention. And also the associations like Cowden syndrome. What are the components of Cowden syndrome?
Sir, papillary of thyroid, then breast carcinoma.
And
colonic.
Endometrial carcinoma and also intestinal hematomas. Intestinal. So you should ask for any colonic disease. You should ask for any history of breast cancer, endometrial cancer, all those things in the history. And also the association with FAP, the so-called P10 gene. Then the Werner, the adult progeroid syndrome. Carney complex you have mentioned. And the McCune-Albright syndrome, where there is association with polycystotic fibrous dysplasia. So those things in the history of syndromes, along with history. And most important, the clinical examination, I feel, is the plane of the Solling, which you never mentioned, the plane of the Solling. I think better to tell. Some of the examiners are very particular that the candidate should mention the plane. Of course, it is known. Then you mentioned thyroids. What are the components of thyroids?
Sir, echogenicity, size, then echogenic particle inside. Then
it's not size. The 5 things are there. One is composition. This echogenicity. Third,
echogenic particles.
Echogenic foci. Echogenic is different. Echogenic foci is different.
Margin.
Shape and margin.
Margin.
These 5 things you should know. You should always mention higher resolution ultrasound. What is higher resolution ultrasound?
Sir,
What is higher resolution ultrasound?
high frequency.
It is 7.5 to 16 megahertz. That you should know. And always mention sono-guided FNAC. So mention higher resolution ultrasound and sono-guided FNAC. And like the breast, it is called quadruple assessment. In breast, it is
triple.
In thyroid, it is called quadruple. And then when do you say nodule size is increasing? You mentioned that the nodule size is increasing. When do you say that the nodule size is increasing?
More than 50% increase in size of...
not size. It is not size.
Volume, sir. Volume.
More than 50% increase in volume and size?
20% increase.
More than 20% in two dimensions. What is the third criteria? More than 2 mm. If it is more than 2 mm, so you will say that the nodule is increasing. What is the nerve of Amelita accuracy?
External laryngeal.
External laryngeal nerve. What is hernia classification? You know or you don't know? Hernia classification.
Don't. Sir, this the distance between the external laryngeal nerve within 1 centimeter and
upper pole,
upper
pole, and the nerve crossing.
Crossing.
The type 1, type 2.
Type 2 and.
Right. So why CT is not entertained in most of the thyroids?
Sir, in CT, if we use a contrast, there is stunning effect in the postoperative period. If we
that is there. How much iodine is given if CT is contrast enhanced? CT is given to a patient.
I don't know.
This very high load, 15,000 to 30,000 milligram. 15 to 30,000 milligram. And how long it will take for clearance of this much load of iodine?
6 months to 1 year.
It will take 4 weeks. It will take 4 weeks. Define solitary thyroid nodule once again. I was not very happy with your definition.
Sir, it is a discrete nodule in a clinically normal thyroid.
It is not like that. A discrete swelling in thyroid, complete the rest.
With no other clinically palpable abnormality in the gland.
With no palpable abnormality or nodularity in the contralateral side. Here, did you mention about the contralateral lobe in the examination?
Sir, specifically, rest of the gland appears normal.
No, you should always be specific because your diagnosis is solitary thyroid nodule.
Yes,
so you mentioned that the contralateral lobe is normal. In this case, it is crossing the midline, and then you are saying hemithyroidectomy. How is it possible? You said it crossing the midline. What is hemi by definition?
Hemi, one lobectomy plus isthmus.
It is not enough. It's on lobe plus isthmus plus pyramidal lobe.
Pyramidal lobe.
Plus pyramidal. So here it is crossing. So it cannot be hemi. Hemi will be difficult in this case.
Yes, sir.
Because you have to go to the contralateral side because it is going to the contralateral side. So that's also, it's a big topic. Thyroid is very, very big topic. So I think it was wonderful discussion. Any queries? of course, what Arjun, your name is Arjun.
Yes, sir, Arjun, sir.
Arjun said regarding the Bethesda, it is given in Bethesda. If it is 4, then there will be 15 to 30% chance for Bethesda always gives what is 1 non-diagnostic means still 1 to 4% chance for malignancy is there. So also suspicious of malignancy 60 to 75. Bethesda is giving the figures and malignancy they say 97 to 99%. So all these things are given in the Bethesda alone. Any role for genetic studies? If
yes, sir.
what is AUS? What is
in atypia of undetermined significance or follicular lesion of undetermined significance, we have to go for genetic study.
What study?
Sir, we can go for oncogenes and then
AUS or FLAS, you should minimum do BRAF mutation.
BRAF mutation.
BRAF mutation is suggestive of which malignancy?
Sir, follicular.
No. Papillary thyroid cancer or maybe sometimes anaplastic thyroid.
Anaplastic.
What is the mutation in follicular thyroid cancer?
PP and rectin.
It is RAS mutation in follicular thyroid cancer. Right. So thank you. You can go on discussing for any number of hours, but it is already too late. So it was a good discussion. And whenever you are presenting thyroid, you should go in a systematic manner because thyroid is, every examiner will be keen to ask questions in thyroid. So you should be thorough. The way of presentation should be little more systematic. That is what I feel. Especially at the end of your presentation, I always go by checklist, whether there is any evidence of malignancy, evidence of toxicity, any retrosternal extension, any regional nodes, the position of trachea, position of carotids, distal metastasis, all those things should come towards the end. Here, I don't know, you are little reluctant to say the tracheal displacement also. And Latif was asking, what is the sign of retrosternal or symptom of retrosternal extension? It is a nocturnal dyspnea or nocturnal cough. You should ask. The patient is having nocturnal cough or any particular position in the lying down position, not in the sitting position. Okay?
Yes.
Right. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your nice conclusions. And also, thank you, Dr. Rajdeep Singh from Maulana Hospital, Maulana Asa Hospital, Delhi, and Dr. Abdul Latif, HOD Surgery, Trivandrum, Ajay Kumar, Professor Surgery, Calicut Medical College, and Dr. Rajan Kurubala, MIMS Hospital, Calicut, and my dear students also. I am also want to inform one important point. Our RRC is going on next month onwards. So our program will coincide with this RRC programs. So we'll next month, that is November, there won't be any class like this. After the RRC, we will restart. Okay. So good night to everybody. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you.